Our products are organically sourced natural healthy foods from Nigeria, West Africa, sourced directly from the small local farmers. At Naturalike, we believe what you put in your body and on your body can dramatically impact your health and well-being. Boost your energy levels and satisfy your cravings with a healthy dose of natural sweetness from our products. We're excited to help lead African foods and products into the global health and wellness markets. Follow us on Instagram at Naturalike, on Facebook at Naturalike LLC, and YouTube at Naturalike TV. These organically sourced foods are available at our Amazon store, amazon.com/Naturalike. Email us at naturalikeproducts@gmail.com.
Peace, family. I hope all is well. I hope your Saturday is going well. If you are attending, I know here in Atlanta, there are a lot of Juneteenth events and celebrations going on. So if you're attending a Juneteenth celebration or an event, have fun. But at the same time, be safe. There's been a lot of deadly clown activity at Juneteenth celebrations lately. You had a situation in Oakland, I think, where 15 people got shot. And then you had the situation in Round Rock, Texas, which is right outside of Austin, where 2 people were killed. So be careful at these Juneteenth celebrations. That's why I was not excited when Joe Biden, when he announced that he was making Juneteenth a federal holiday. I wasn't excited about it because I had a feeling the amount of deadly clownism that was now going to partake in Juneteenth celebrations. A time of reflecting and celebrating the freedom of our ancestors has turned into an absolute S show. So guys, be careful out there. Me personally, I've stopped going to the, I would say, public Juneteenth celebrations because it's just, you never know. I mean, it should, yeah, because I was, back before Joe, you have to understand, a lot of Black people had absolutely no clue about Juneteenth. Again, a lot of Black people had absolutely no clue about Juneteenth. But now that has become popularized, and it's a federal holiday. Your cousins, Marie, are coming to the festivals and showing out and causing problems. Then you had the situation where the white supremacists wanted to come and shoot up a Juneteenth celebration. So we getting attacked from all sides, and it's just, like I said, I kind of fall back now on the Juneteenth celebrations because you just never know. But I might attend one. Usually they have I'm sorry, that's not Juneteenth. They used to have a Juneteenth celebration here at Malcolm X Park here in Atlanta in the West End. Excuse me. No, I'm sorry. No, it was at Clark, Atlanta. Then they moved it to the Home Depot Center. And in fact, today, sorry about that. And then they had a parade today because they're having a Juneteenth celebration at Piedmont Park, which is going to probably be cool. So I'll probably go out, but I'm just not as excited about celebrating Juneteenth in the public ever since, Joe Biden made it a federal holiday, because some folks just, which reminds me of, I'm from Sacramento, California, and every year we would have the state fair. So every year we would have the state fair. And so like the day before the last day, am I saying that right? Of the actual state fair in Sacramento, we used to have what was called Black Family Night. And just your cousins. I mean, golly, a Black family. How do you ruin Black Family Night? Why do you have to shoot up Black Family Night? Why? And that's what a lot of this Juneteenth stuff reminds me of. We used to go to Black Family Night, have fun. This is back when I was in high school. So, we used to get girls' numbers, have fun, eat good food. And then Marie, who's in the chat room, her cousins always had to just show up and show out, but not in a good way, and start shooting everything up. And so guess what? They completely got rid of Black Family Night. They got rid of it. So no more Black Family Night at the California State Fair. It was a time of fun. It was enjoyable. They just had to start shooting up the parking lot. They had to start doing the side shows in the parking lot and shooting up the parking lot. So they shut that down. And that's what's going on with Juneteenth. Marie's cousins is showing up the Juneteenth celebrations, shooting up the parking lot, doing side shows, and now we just can't celebrate Juneteenth. I mean, we can still celebrate it, but man. But anyways, guys, hit the like button. Please hit the like button. Also, make sure you share. Here we go. The Kofo Blue. There we go. The commercialization of Juneteenth ruined it. You took the words out of my mouth. Again, once it was made into a federal holiday and it was commercialized, Marie's cousin decided they just had to come out and start celebrating it. And yeah. But I might go outside but I would try to, in fact, thank you, Kofo. That's what I was trying to say. I will probably avoid the commercialized Juneteenth events and go to the smaller, more intimate ones. That's what I would do. No, don't time out, JC. Don't time her out. It's whatever. Let them come. Let them come. Let them come. Let the haters come. But yeah, the commercialization of Juneteenth is what ruined it. There we go. And so therefore, I'll still celebrate Juneteenth, but I'll avoid the commercialized Juneteenth events. There we go. Because again, before Joe Biden made it a federal holiday, the majority of Black folks had absolutely no clue what it meant. So anyways, let's get into today's topic. Well, first of all, I got a couple of announcements. Announcement number one, we are rolling to Nigeria. We are rolling to Nigeria August 4th through the 10th. August 4th through the 10th. We are rolling to Nigeria. Please come and join us. Again, please come and join us in Nigeria. We got 2 spots left. In fact, hold on, let me check. One second, let me check real quick. Just want to make sure. Hold on, let me go. Guys, give me a second. I'm coming. Here we go. Oh, sure. Here we go. Bam. Hold on. 2, 7. Actually, we got 3 spots left. We could take 3 more people. Yeah, we could take 3 more people. We got 3 spots left. We have 3 spots left. So if you're interested in joining us in Nigeria for the Oshun Festival, August 4th through the 13th, please visit Danfo, DANFO.Africa. Again, please visit Danfo, DANFO.Africa. We would love to have you. Again, please visit Danfo.Africa. Again, we have 3 spots left for the Oshun Festival. We have 3 spots left for the Oshun Festival. Please visit Danfo.Africa to learn more. So the Oshun Festival is in Osogbo. So we'll be in Osogbo, we'll be in Oshun, and then we'll make our way to Lagos, and we'll spend. So half the time is spent in Oshun State, and the other half is spent in Lagos. So go to Danfo.Africa to learn more. We have 3 spots left, everyone. So let's jump into today's topic. You guys know I am, in crypto terms, I am bullish on Nigeria. I think Nigeria is the best. I'm not saying Nigeria is perfect. I know there are some issues with Nigeria, but as far as the diaspora, all right, in regards to relocating to Africa, I still believe Nigeria is the best fit. And so I stumbled upon this article right here. Give me a second. In fact, well, let's start here. Let's start here. I want to start here. Let's start here. In fact, let me put this right here. Goldman Sachs projects Nigeria to become the world's fifth largest economy by 2075. Everybody, a big akabo to Oladeo, or my Yoruba teacher, a big akabo to him. Let me read a couple of these articles, and we're gonna. In fact, give me your thoughts on this, Oladeo. Goldman Sachs projects Nigeria to become the world's fifth largest economy by 2075. What are your thoughts on that? Can you hear me? I don't think he can hear
Yeah, I
me.
can hear.
Okay.
Okay. Ẹ kúrọ̀lẹ́ o.
Cabo.
Ẹ kú sí dáadáa la bá yín o.
Oh, Mowa Dada. Iwe Inko.
Dáadáa làwa náà wà mí. So good to join you again tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So tonight we're just going to share briefly about.
No. Can you hear me? I asked you a question. What are your thoughts on Goldman Sachs projects Nigeria to become the world's fifth largest economy by 2075?
Oh, okay.
Larry, I know you're a black Brit now, Larry. I know you are a black Brit, but it's not about us, Larry. It's about our children's children's, Larry. It's about our grandchildren and our great grandchildren, Larry. Go ahead, Oladayo.
Yeah, I believe it's the projections is very possible, because if you look at indices, uh, Nigeria has a growing population, and uh, about 70% of Nigerian population are younger generation, and so the innovation is there, the energy is there, the workforce is there, the creativity is there, and one thing that's just lacking is the right leadership to be able to manage all these resources. But 2075, wow, that you see some. This is 2024. We still have about 50 years thereabout. So it's very possible. It's very possible, and I really hope, looking forward to see it. But I actually believe it's very possible with the right leadership. It's very possible. And if you look at the trajectory of the world, Africa generally is becoming, how do I put it now, the future of the world, because uh, it's underdeveloped. We have a lot of untapped resources. It's not on. We have a lot of untapped opportunities. So it's a good thing actually, and I look forward to it with the right leadership. It's very possible.
Okay. All right, so let's dive into this article a little bit. In the report on Monday, the American multinational investment bank and financial services company forecast.
You understand? It just.
What's going on there? Sorry about that. In the report on Monday, the American multinational investment bank and financial services company forecast that China will be the world's biggest economy with 57 trillion. India is expected to be second with 52.5 trillion. The United States to be third with 51.5 trillion, and Indonesia to come fourth with 13.7 trillion. Nigeria with 13.1 trillion will be only country on the dark. Why they got to say dark continent? in Africa among the top 15 as forecast by Goldman Sachs. The country is still faced with economic security challenges that could mar its growth, by President Bola Tinubu's administration has vowed to address these issues to put Nigeria on the path to economic growth and development. Nigeria's GDP grew by 2.31% year on year in real terms in the first quarter of 2023. So there we go. And I also found this other interesting right here. Interesting article. Come on, pull up. So we talk about cost of living. Lagos ranks second in cheapest cities to live in Africa. See full list. Nigeria's capital, Abuja, and its commercial hub, Lagos, have been ranked as the first and second cheapest cities for expatriates to live in for 2024, according to Mercer's cost of living rankings. So a lot of people, they speak on, cost of living when they relocate to a country. And I've been telling people, if you're an expatriate, an expat, all right, and if you have your US dollar, your British pound, your euro, by far, and it's unfortunate for the locals. Again, it's unfortunate for the locals, but with the naira being presently so weak right now, the dollar is strong. So when it comes to cost of living, right now, Nigeria for expats, like I said, is number one without a doubt. The report highlights that the cost of living is crucial consideration for expatriates when selecting a city for relocation, as it impacts their quality of life and financial stability. The findings attribute the affordability of these cities to currency depreciations, here we go, which has significantly reduced the cost of living for international assignees. At the lower end of the cost spectrum, cities like Islamabad, Lagos, and Abuja are among the least expensive for expats. Where's Islamabad? In Africa. What country is that? Okay. The ranking provides, I thought that was, okay. The ranking provides insight into economic trends, assisting individuals and organizations in making informed decisions regarding global mobility. Among African cities, Bangui has notably risen 12 places to rank 14th globally. Djibouti and N'Djamena follow closely, ranking 18th and 21st respectively. In the opposite, Blantyre, Lagos, and Abuja are among the least expensive African cities, positioned at 221st, 225th, and 226th globally. The 10th cheapest cities to live in Africa with their global rank: Johannesburg, South Africa; Cape Town, South Africa; Tunis in Tunisia; Lusaka, Zambia; Gaborone, Botswana; Windhoek, Namibia. I like Namibia. I've been in Namibia. Was there in 2012. I like Namibia. Durban, South Africa; Blantyre, Malawi; Lagos, Nigeria; and Abuja, Nigeria. And I know everyone's going to Ghana, but Ghana is expensive, you guys. Ghana is expensive. Oladayo.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the tech scene? And then we'll jump into some history. What are your thoughts? Oh, that's right. Islamabad is in Pakistan. I have no clue who will want to move there. What are your thoughts on the tech scene in Nigeria? Yeah, the tech scene in Nigeria. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's a very fast growing market, and a lot of opportunities. In recent time, a lot of Nigerian youth are moving into tech, um, and it's been a major part of the driving force of the economy. Unfortunately, the Nigerian education system is not strong enough to kind of give the necessary or the required tech skill that could make Nigerians compete globally. So you see a lot of Nigerians trying to study abroad. Thankfully, thanks to remote learning, thanks to online courses. Yeah, but a lot of Nigerian youth are doing very well for themselves. It's not really, these are not government efforts. Nigerian government is not really making any direct, uh, on paper, they might be saying it, but in actual reality, they are not really making any direct efforts to help the Nigerian youth when it comes to tech scene. But most of these things are personal efforts by the resilience of Nigerian youth, personal endeavors, all doing all they can just to put themselves on the global scene. Uh, Nigerians, for who they are, they are strong people. And if given the right opportunity, they can do amazing things. But presently, there's not been much of government support in that direction. Everything you see in terms of tech in Nigeria has just been a lot of personal effort, personal improvement. The facilities are not really there, making it easy for people to really learn or acquire the right skills. The cost of electricity, the cost of internet, this, and the present economic situation, it's kind of very challenging. And but people are just trying to do one or two things for themselves.
Okay, let's jump into some history. Let's jump into some history, specifically the Southwest, Yoruba land.
Okay, so are we ready for Yoruba history?
Yes.
Give me a sec. I want to put on my camera. Okay. So my name is Oladayo, like he rightfully said. I'm a Yoruba teacher, and tonight I want to take us on a very short history of the Yoruba people. I call it the ancient history of the Yoruba people. So tonight we're going to take a bit of it. We'll start from Yoruba history of creation. Yoruba history, what Yoruba believe about the creation of the world. Okay, let me start by saying that Yoruba call God Olodumare. Olodumare means someone that is self-sufficient and all-sufficient, someone that has everything. So the Yoruba name for God is Olodumare. So the history goes thus: before time began, before the beginning of time, um, when Olodumare wanted to create the earth, he sent one of his creations called Ududua. Ududua is one of the creations of God in the heavenlies, and Olodumare asked him to come down and create the earth. And while he was coming to do that, Olodumare gave Ududua some equipment that he needs to use to create the earth. One of the equipment is a chain, like a 200 pieces of chain joined together. That was to be used for him to descend into the earth. A handful of sand, a 5-footed fowl, and a chameleon. So we have, these are the elements of creations in Yoruba history: chain, a handful of sand, a 5-footed cow, and a chameleon. So these are the 4 things Eledumare gave Odudua in his creation endeavor. So it was believed that down here was covered with water. So when Odudua began his creation work, he asked first descend with the chain. So when he was about to reach the last tip of the chain to step into the waters, he poured down the sand that was given to him by Eledumare, God. And after pouring down the sand, he dropped down his five-footed chicken or fowl to spread the sand. So it is believed that as the chicken began to spread the sand, wherever the sand touches, it becomes a solid land. Okay. Then you also lower down his chameleon to be able to solidify the ground that has now been created. So after he has done this, he descended to the earth, and it was believed that the place where Oduduwa first descended on earth, he descended in Ile-Ife. That's why we have Ile-Ife as a cradle of creation and as a cradle of Yoruba history. So when he descended there, that's according to Yoruba history, that was the first place Oduduwa stepped in, and the place is called Ile-Ife. Now, Ile-Ife simply means the place where the land spread. Ile means land, Fe means spread. So Ile-Ife means the place where the land spread. A lot of people and can't kind of confuse the pronunciation to be Ile-Ife. But the actual pronunciation, according to Yoruba history, is Ile-Ife, the place where the land spread. So, according to Yoruba history, after Oduduwa landed in Ile-Ife, he was commanded by Eledumare to travel in different directions. So he went to the eastern part of the world, he went to the west part of the world, he went to the north, to the south, creating other parts of the earth and spreading the blessing and the land to other part of the earth. So when it was done with this creation endeavor, he came back to Ile-Ife, and that was where he settled. Okay, so that is the Yoruba history of creation, and okay, I think I don't want to. Okay, let's pause it here tonight.
Okay.
Episode continue from there, and don't forget you can contact Language Africa.
Well, hold on. Cloud chasing. If you're Yoruba, per African ancestry, you need to come to Nigeria. What is in August for the Oshun Festival? We're going to the birthplace of the Yoruba. So cloud chasing. Come with us. Go to donfo.africa. You gotta come. All right, go ahead.
Yes, and incidentally, Oshogbo Festival is taking place in Oshogbo, the same state where we have that's the same state where we have Ile-Ife.
Right. So we're going to Ile-Ife, and we're going to the Oshun Festival in Oshogbo.
Yeah, so it's going to be a great moment of history and learning. Oh. Okay, that's the part of the story we talk about tonight. In our next episode, I'm going to continue from there.
Okay, guys, links in the chat room. If you want to call in and ask a question, please click on the link. If you want to call in and ask a question, please click on the link again. Link is in the chat room. And Oladayo, Eshe O.
Eshe Ganyo.
And unless you want to wait.
Oh, does anybody have a question?
Well, they'll click on the link and see if they want to call in. Roll image. What does Donfo mean? Donfo is the local transportation in Lagos. That's what I named my travel brand after. I named it after the local transportation in Lagos. So, but links in the chat room. If you want to call in, click on the link. All right, guys. If there's no, we'll click the link. We'll wait for you. The one links in the chat room. Click on the link. Guys, I'm not interested in living in any countries outside of Africa. So you guys are asking about El Salvador, Mexico, Thailand. They're not even on my radar. So it's America and it's Africa, and I'll probably get like a residency in Portugal. But outside of that, it's Africa. I realize that I think the cost of living, from my understanding, in Bangkok is very, very cheap. But I mean, we're not even talking about Mexico. And well, guys, click on the link. What do you mean let you call in? Click on the link. All you gotta do is click the link and you can call in. We're not we're not talking about living in Southeast Asia or Central or South America. It's strictly Africa. Royal Image, go ahead.
Yeah, with the post that you shared, gold, whatever that was saying, what are Nigerians saying about their future? I'm always interested in what the Nigerians are saying rather than somebody outside doing the research and saying that this is what's going to happen. This is what we should look forward to.
Oladayo, since you're currently in Nigeria.
Okay. I live currently in Nigeria now, and I can tell you that Nigeria has a very great, bright future. Like the statistics I gave you that uh, Nigeria has a population of around 40 million people, and more than 70% of that population are people below age 35. Is a young population and is a growing population. And putting this into mind, it means these are generations that are very productive, very innovative, and very industrious people. So Nigerian future is very, very, very bright. But however, like I said earlier on, given all these resources, Nigeria needs the right kind of leadership to be able to maximize resources. In terms of natural resources, we have the oil, we have the solid minerals, we have the good climate, we have good agricultural land. Everything goes for
Tell
Nigeria.
that guy to
Every,
mute his mic.
I just muted them. Go ahead.
so everything, all indices that you can tick, economic indices, growth indices, Nigeria ticks all the boxes. Okay. However, the little challenge that we have, not just as a Nigeria alone, but even across African continent as a whole, is the right leadership to be able to maximize all these resources. So in terms of potential, Africa has potential and Nigeria is leading in that. Really, Nigeria is called the giant of Africa because that's the biggest country in Africa and it's a very rich country. We just need to have the right kind of leadership that recognize all these opportunities and potentials and be able to deploy them. And before your very eyes, Nigeria will lead the world. Yeah, that's my take on that.
Okay, Royal Image, to answer your question.
Yeah, I just wanted, like, I prefer that Nigerians speak on their future and give the reasons why they believe, or Africans themselves believe, that this is why we are going to rule, this is why we are going to be powerful and all sorts of things. And to have somebody outside come in and say, well, the future is this and this is where it's at, I just don't like to hear from them. So to have a Nigerian saying, these are the reasons, we have the young population, we have the resources. Now the only thing lacking is the leadership, which that's across the board for Africa. So I think the leaders that we have, to me, they're just servants. They just make sure that the Europeans don't get upset, that they get their share, and the master gets his share. They're not really for the people. So even moving forward, I don't think politics is going to do it for us because they control all that system. It's the system that they put in place when they left. And all the leaders, when they come, they make sure that they stay happy and we stay where we at because they do not want us to surpass them. It would take at least 5 years for Africa to be what they call a first world country if we are left alone to do what is best for us.
Yeah, you're right. But I think in terms of politics, things are changing gradually because a lot of Africans are becoming more self-aware, political aware, and you can see what's happening in the South, in the West African countries like Niger, I think Mali, and was a third country that was being taken over this year, late last year and early this year by the military, uh, because people are beginning to, the Africans are beginning to come to realization that they need to hold their future is in their hands and they need to take responsibility for themselves. Of course, I'm not so excited about those military coups and take over. I believe more in the democratic system, but this could be a path to a better democratic system for those countries and if they are able to manage it well. That's my take
All
on
right,
it.
cool. All right, let me pass it to Mac. Go ahead, Mac. Mac,
Hey, can
Mac,
you hear me?
hear you now. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, how you doing? And that's for everybody on here. Happy to be a part. I just wanted to just ask, just from a recent historical standpoint, like the guy before me was just talking about the political apparatus that controls Nigeria. When Niger was having its freedom fight, Nigeria was poised to invade them. And I just wanted to know, like, insofar as the political power of the people is concerned, because I'm pretty sure, just like here in the US, that wasn't necessarily the will of the people, but who was pulling the puppet strings on that? And what will be done in the future to try to curtail that, or let me rephrase that. Any ideas on what will be done in the future to try to curtail that?
Well, it didn't happen. So what are you talking about?
Yeah,
They were poised for it.
But it didn't happen.
yeah. The invasion did not eventually happen. Of course, there were some sanctions on Niger by the Nigerian government. You know, the Nigerian president is the head of ECOWAS. ECOWAS starts from Economic Community of West African States. And these are countries in the West Africa that have treaties and have some of strong bondings, which Nigerian President Tinubu is the head. So when the coup happened, you know, Nigeria has been being controlled by France over a lot of time. I think France was pulling some string on Nigerian government. Maybe US also was pulling some string on Nigerian government to invade Niger and put pressure on the military juntas to be able to back down and let India guy back again. But there was so much internal pressure to on the president, and he knew that if we have gone ahead with invasion, it would have been very, very bad for him. So because Nigeria and Niger, they are just like a cement twins. A lot of people in the northern part of Nigeria have their families living in jail, they've intermarry and things like that. So it was very difficult for Nigerian government to go ahead with that order. So eventually, it did not happen. However, there were some sanctions on Niger by ECOWAS, and I think some of those sanctions now have been relieved now.
Understood. Thank you.
Are you welcome? Hammer, go ahead, Hammer. Unmute yourself.
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
Thank you, brother. Let me just introduce myself. I think my first time being on this panel. You know, I am of course of West African descent. You know, I come from Cameroon, live in the United States. So, you know, we are right next to Nigeria. So like our brothers there. But let me just go ahead and say, look, you know, here's one thing I will say about because the topic is about Black Americans and whether or not it should go to Nigeria. Here's my contribution to that. As far as I'm concerned, I feel like let me just say this first, right? Just say this first. Number one, I do believe that out of all the sort of Black nations in the global stage, the only majority Black nation that has the potential of being a black superpower is Nigeria. Let me start off with that really quickly, okay? Because a lot of these other groups have their own superpower nation. The whites, they have America, they have England, right? The Asians have China and Japan. The Arabs have Saudi Arabia and Qatar, and of course the Latinos and them have both Brazil, right? Even though it's not as strong. Black people, we don't have sort of a nation who can say, hey, this is the representation of a black superpower state, right? And I feel like the only country on the planet that has the potential to really reach that level is Nigeria. However, I feel like as of now, it's not there yet. And I just have a hard time seeing black Americans who are used to a certain standard of living in the United States willing to go to Nigeria. Let's be look, Search for Huru, you are sort of what I call the exceptional black American. It's easy for you to adjust going from the United States to a country like Nigeria, the global south. But the vast majority of black Americans are just not going to be able to do that. The moment, that they face any sort of adversity or something goes wrong or someone says something wrong, they're going to run back to America talking about they hate us, the tether. So I say the only black American. Let's be honest. Isn't that what's happening, right? A lot of these people who will tolerate being called the N-word, all that kind of stuff, they get one bad experience in Africa and they run back saying Africans hate them. So here's the reality. The only people who should be coming to Africa are black Americans like Diners. These black Americans who actually are ready to build, who have a mentality, who are actually serious about being African. I don't want somebody coming to Africa only because they cannot be American. Let me say it again. I don't want someone coming to Africa only because they cannot be American. And that's what's happening. So I have no problem with them coming. I support them coming. But as far as I'm concerned, I only want people who are actually dedicated in being a part of the African identity. Because if somebody is coming to Nigeria, but deep down inside, they're only in Nigeria because the whites don't accept them, well, that means that the moment they face any adversity, all of a sudden now, all Nigerians hate African Americans. So that's my only pushback. But go ahead.
Excuse me. Just one question, sir, that was just talking. You said you're from Cameroon?
Yes. Yes, sir. I'm from Cameroon. Yes, sir.
So when you say coming to Africa, what do you mean?
What I mean is that, well, I'll say it again. So I'm responding to the title of the stream. The title of the stream is whether or not black Americans should, move to Africa and everything. And what I was trying to say, and I'll say it again for the new panelists, that I believe that the only black Americans who should be going to Africa are the ones who genuinely want to be part of the African identity. Because too many times what we see is that a black American goes to Africa, they get a bad experience, and then all of a sudden now, all Africans hate black Americans. We're seeing it now on YouTube.
In the Hammer, also what's going on now, I'm going to take it a little bit deeper. Not only are they saying all Africans hate black Americans, now they're saying that they're actually not African, they're Native American, they're Indian.
Yeah. That's the reason why. Look, I have no problem with a black American like Dinus going to Cameroon, because I genuinely believe that Dinus wants to be out. He wants to go there. And what does that mean? That means that if you truly want to be a part of something, you're not going to be easily dissuaded by the obstacle or adversity, right? If I want to achieve a goal, I'm going to persevere through it. But then if you're coming to a place not because you actually want to be a part of it, because you're reject, you can't be I'm giving an example. A lot of black Americans who come, I'm giving an example, as an African, right? A lot of us come to America not because we're American. We come to America for economic opportunities. We're not coming here because we think we're part of the United States. That's not the goal. A lot of black Americans, though, when they come to Africa, a lot of them really only come because they can't be fully American. It's not because they want to be African first. And so what ends up happening is that if that's the mentality, all it takes is a bad experience, and all of a sudden now, we see what's happening on YouTube. But go ahead. I'll let you respond.
Can I ask you a question? So
Yes, yeah, yeah.
is it you say that you and you double down on it, the type of African American specifically that you want coming to the entire continent of Africa is somebody
Mhm.
that wants to be African, correct?
Yes, they actually want to connect with the continent, right?
Okay. Okay. Now, let me ask you this because you just also said that you
Hmm.
are in America for economic opportunity. So let me
Yeah.
ask this. Would it be
Hmm.
wrong then for an African American to come to Africa strictly for economic opportunity?
Is it wrong for Black Americans to come to Africa? Is
My,
that what
my,
you're
my,
asking?
my brother
Yes, sir.
Hammer, can I assist
That's
you
what
with
I'm
the answer to this question?
No,
Can I
no, because
assist?
he asked me. Let me go.
he didn't need no assistance
Let,
stating what he said, so I want to let
No,
him go
no,
ahead
it's
and do
not
his
that.
thing.
yeah,
No,
let,
we're all in the conversation. We're all in the conversation.
let me
I'm
go ahead.
wondering what your issue is with what he actually said. I don't know your issue.
No, brother. Let me answer what he said. Right? No, I don't think there's a problem with Black Americans coming to for economic opportunity. But my whole thing is that once again, coming to Africa as a country that is developing compared to me coming to America that's developed is a two different things. It's not the same situation.
Absolutely.
I'm coming to a place
Opportunity.
uh, that's already developed up, right? So the amount of economic
Opportunity.
opportunity is not going to be the same as you coming to a place that's just now building itself. So there's going to be more adversity there. Let's be honest about that. I will never come here and
Danny,
claim that you
yes,
that
Danny,
me
can I come
that
in straight after?
So
let me finish my
let Hammer finish, and then you can come in. Go ahead, Hammer.
Thank you.
yeah. What I'm saying is that I can never come on this panel and make it seem as if Black immigrants who are coming to the West of America are going to face the same obstacles as somebody from the West coming to Africa. It's not the same thing. They're coming to a place
You
that
don't.
already has infrastructure, everything set up, compared to you going to a place where they're just now building. So there's going to be more adversity going to the African continent, right? Because they're just now building itself up. So I'm saying that it's going to take a certain mentality of a Black American to be able to overcome that. That's the reality.
So a person, a Black American, that is
Mm-hmm.
looking for economic opportunity and has a little bit of upward mobility, has a little bit of savings, a little bit of investing, they should be able to then come to the continent, not the country, the continent of Africa, and
Mm-hmm.
take advantage of the economic opportunity. And that should be the
Fine, but
only motivation of the youth, right?
that should.
Because if it was the same thing, what this person would then say is, hey, I don't want nobody coming to America unless they want to be American.
Well, here's the issue I have with that. The reason why I say it's important is because once again, they're gonna face more adversity. Let's just be honest about it. It's not so difficult. So if they don't have the mentality, it's gonna be easy for them to get dissuaded. Once again, I've seen it's happening right now on YouTube, right? All these Black Americans who are economic when they went to Africa, right? The moment they faced the adversity, they ran back. So it's very important to have that mindset. Now you can go there without that mindset. That's fine. But more than likely, if you don't have that mental fortitude, then yeah, there's a good chance you may end up back here calling folks seven.
Right. And my overall point is that
Mm-hmm.
what your prescription was when you said,
Mm-hmm.
I only want Black Americans coming to America that want to be African.
Yeah.
That
So
is a
yes, that's the ultimate goal.
and,
Now look,
and
if
it's a double standard as well because those same Black Americans, and I'm not talking about the Tariq Nasheed niggas, Negroes, my bad. I'm talking about just other Black Americans, because just for as many as you've seen on YouTube that get some adversity and then start talking crazy, there's a whole bunch of others that have stuck it out. And they didn't try, or they tried, and then that didn't work, so then they tried something else, and then that didn't work, and they tried something else. You see what I'm saying?
Thank you for that. Now let me ask you a question, right? Real quickly. Those folks who did stick it out, I can almost guarantee you the reason they stuck it out is because they genuinely believed in being a part of African identity. I can almost guarantee you. Because that's what's going to take. That's what I'm saying is that if I want to take, I'm an example, like, line up all the Black Americans who are born to Africa, right? And the ones who actually stuck it out, I can almost guarantee a majority of them have a similar mentality as, like, dinosaurs them, where they just, nothing is going to.
With that being said,
let me pass it to Jagoon. Go ahead, Jagoon.
Thank you very much.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I was waiting patiently for that because I like the fact that I'm coming at this juncture. Obviously, I like the subject matter. I think it's something that we need to look at very seriously. But what my brother has said, my brother from Cameroon, sorry, I don't have your name precise, Hammer. What he has just said, I want to continue from there. You see, I've always thought like this. I've seen the Black American composite really decay over the last 40 years. And the decay is commensurate with many utterances that come from people who say that they are Black. And what I observe in what is said from the Black American community at a large point, not at a total point, because I, for one, completely respect what the African American has done to foster levels of equality, cerebral thinking, depth in who we are, in gathering pace and bringing our history to us. I think the African American has done an absolutely marvelous job at leadership where this is concerned. Having said that, the amount of Eurocentric, they won't recognize it as this, but extremely Eurocentric standpoint that the African American has, the Black American has, is beyond. And it's coming to a point where they themselves do not recognize the illness that they foist on the world right now with their point of view. They're right now, today's point of view from a typical Black American living in the hood or wherever is one of looking at themselves strictly as victims, looking at themselves strictly as something to combat anybody's thought process, looking to, again, wave the American flag while singing an African song. I'm sorry, the confusion has to be understood. Let me land. The confusion in that thinking has to be understood by the African American. What you don't understand is that people are looking, and as they're looking, they're not seeing what they want to see. So we who are not African American are not afraid of the African American point of view. We're not afraid. You see, you lot right now, you stink. What comes out of the general media from the United States as to the African American over the last 20 years has been totally deplorable. Anti-culture, anti-respect, anti-love, just looking from a very selfish point. So when my brother says that those who come to America, to Africa, from American background, they should be there knowing that they're going to Africa. And Africa is not in any level of a stable position. So if you're not coming to help or to fix or to be a part of us, then strictly you can F right off. You can go far away. We ain't got no time for no gangster rap bullshit nonsense. We ain't got no time for that. We're dying in that. Wait, I'm going to land, my friend, because it seems like people just want to take an insult when there's no insult being given. Let me give you the reality, and you can take it as an insult if you wish. But I'm telling you right now, the Black American is no longer the leadership of the Black community globally. They used to have that position, and they did it very well whilst they had it. But right now, over the last 20 years or so, the so-called African American and their point of view, it stinks. It doesn't belong to us. It's anti-culture. You think you can tell an African how to be an African? Are you out of your mind? If you're not coming to Africa to assist in the development of that place, and the development is deep, it's full of cobwebs, it's full of nettles, it's full of stingy stuff, things that you have to live through. Let me tell you the last time I went to Nigeria. The last time I went to Nigeria, the airplane was full of Eastern Europeans and UK people who are not Londoners.
Jagoon, let me interject. So in 2014, 2013 or 2012, I forgot. The first time I went to Senegal, the plane was all black.
Mm-hmm.
In 2000 and I think this was 2019, I was on a flight from Freetown, Sierra Leone to Dakar, Senegal. We had a layover in Gambia. In fact, I think I had to switch planes. This is before Air Senegal flew straight. For the first time ever, I was the minority as a black person on a plane in Africa. It was all Indians. It was all Indians and Europeans. Now, when I'm in West Africa, whether it be Nigeria or whether it be in Senegal, I see it's so many white people there.
Now,
and it bothers me. And
bro,
you make a great
point.
Let me land real quick, and I'll pass it back to you. It bothers me because I read the chat room, I read the chats, and they're like, well, it's not developed as this, it's not developed as that, it's not developed as this, it's not developed as that, and Thailand and this country and that country and development. But our claim to fame is how we built America,
my brother.
So it's like, why can't we put that same sweat equity?
Well, this is my complaint. This is my complaint.
I don't get it. Like you said, I'm there to roll up my sleeves and do what I can.
Absolutely.
I get it's not perfect. I already know that. But I see an opportunity. I see what's going on. Go ahead, Jacob.
Dynast, I've been watching you since you landed in Nigeria. And the way you have taken to Nigeria, what I was seeing was what I thought every black person should have in their mentality. But what I saw was a brave individual that wanted to go home. And when he went home, he was welcomed. And that is how Nigeria is. We're not inviting you anywhere. You can piss off with the invite. If you don't know who you are and where to come back to, it's up to you. However, if you land in Nigeria, I'm guaranteeing you would have a wholesome welcome as to who you are and your persona. But as Dinah's underlined, the last time I went to Nigeria, it was full of Eastern Europeans, not Western Europeans, Eastern, looking for a buck. And then people who are in Londoners, people don't even know Nigeria, but they've just caught onto it and they rush into Nigeria because they have skills. So these people who are going home, they're not complaining all that rubbish and asking myopic, idiotic questions about why. They're not doing that. What they're doing, they're going home. They're going to our home and making good for themselves. Look at all the Chinese people that are there. Do you think that they have any relation with Africa? What are they doing there? You're asking strange questions. Not my brother. I'm quite upset. You see, if I can just land like this. Because I am quite upset with this kind of rhetoric that comes from the African American. Their rhetoric is complete. I haven't finished, my brother.
Jago, I'll give you 1 more minute, then let me pass the mic.
1 minute is more than enough. African Americans are full of complaint. African Americans are full of comparisons. African Americans are full of racism that doesn't belong to us. It doesn't belong to us, all that kind of talk. We don't want to talk about all these races and all these things. If you are not going to come to the point of an intellectual individual who can think through all the cobwebs, all the stinging nettles, don't come to Africa. It's the last place you want to be in. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Mac, and then I'm going to pass it to Tunde.
All right, cool. Thank you. Hey, guy who was just talking, where are you at right now?
Where I'm at doesn't matter. That is my point of view.
It does matter. Why does it matter?
Why does it? I'm my brother. I don't mind you pushing me back. Well, you have to do it in a very accurate way. Otherwise, I will take
Hold on.
part.
Hey, you've been talking for a grip. Let me cook for a little bit.
Well, yeah, you cook, bro. You cook. Don't ask me
So,
silly questions.
so no, it's not a silly question. It is a very relevant question. And the reason why it is relevant is because you just said not too long ago, about a good 3 to 5 minutes ago, oh, these people, they come to our home and they're not complaining about XYZ. They came and made something for themselves in our home. That is what you said, and I'm quoting you. Now I'm asking you, are you in your home?
My friend, listen to me. We as black people, me as an individual, I'm in Nigeria. You understand?
That thing,
I'm going to break it down to you so you don't have to ask any more myopic, nonsensical questions. I was born in Nigeria. I came here when I was 5 years old to the UK. I've lived in the UK. Let me land, please. I'm going to give you the answer. No, I'm going to give you a full answer. Being here since I was 5, I've returned home to Nigeria every single year. You understand? Every year until my adulthood. Wait. I then lived in Nigeria for another 5 years, and I've been living in Spain for the last 10 years. I'm back here in the UK over the last 2 years. That gives you my geography. Now, explore my point of view.
Like I said, you already landed when you said I've been here in the UK. We ain't need all the roundabout stuff. You've been a whole bunch of places except Nigeria. But yet and still,
I just told you I
were
lived there for 5 years and I returned every 5 years. That's why you should listen instead of being silly.
But listen, sir, you said you visited your crib and you also implied that you left your crib. If you visited 5 times, that means you left 6 times.
Okay, you didn't understand me, but what's your point?
My point is, why would you use the point of what you were saying earlier? That's probably about 8 to 10 minutes ago now. Oh, these people, they come to our home and they don't make excuses. They just make something for themselves. That's what you said. Everybody heard you say it. Right?
Come on, what's your point?
You ain't even doing it. You ain't even doing it.
What's his name? What's your name? Mek. Is it Mek? Sorry.
Mac. Yes, sir.
Mac. Very good. Mac. I just explained to you that I'm a Nigerian born. I've lived around the world and I've traveled back to Nigeria. Wait. Listen, bro. On a yearly basis until my adulthood, where I took trips elsewhere. The last time I was in Nigeria was 3.5 years ago. I lived in Nigeria for 5 good years of my life straight without leaving the country. If this gives you an aspect on the kind of person I am and what I own in that country, because I don't go back and forward for sightseeing. I'll go back in for doing. So in my doing, I own 3 homes in that country called Nigeria. 3. I own 1 business in that country called Nigeria, 1. And I keep up to date, bro. Can you compare yourself to that?
Me personally?
No.
Okay,
you through your mother-in-law.
Okay. Now you're trying to get slick. First of all, you've already been spanked just off the principle. First of all,
hey, let me.
Second of all, I got 2 properties in Belize right now. God damn it. And I do have my passport and all of that kind of shit. Now, my point is, don't try to run away from the point though, because what I just pointed out to you, to Dynas, and everybody else that's listening, you talking all that fly stuff about how African Americans ain't supposed to be doing this, but you ain't even doing it. That is my point. And I'm landing right there.
No,
There's
there's a lot of background noise, so let me mute somebody. All right, go ahead, Jagoon. And then I got to pass the mic.
Please do pass it on. All I wanted to say is that
go ahead, Tunde. Go ahead, Tunde. Mute yourself, Tunde.
Our friend Mac made no sense.
All right, go ahead, Tunde.
Yo, what up? Y'all hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Just want to answer the prompt. Is Nigeria the best fit for Black Americans? Right. It's like a yes or no thing for me, because it's like economically and culturally, I think, you know, we gel very well, as far as culturally and stuff like that. But on the flip side, no. Like I don't like how Akon tries to make it seem like, oh, if Black Americans move all back to Africa or something like that, that everything's gonna be peachy king, everything's gonna be peaceful. That's cap. Let's cut it out. There'll probably be a war. Why? Because there are some cultural differences between the two. All right. There's ways that Black American thinks. There are ways that Black Americans think, and there are ways that Nigerians think, especially some tribes think as well. All right. And for instance, if a Black American walks into somewhere in Yoruba land and he doesn't prostrate properly to a certain person, that person may look at him crazy, like, who is this person coming into my establishment not prostrating properly? You know, things like that could get.
Okay, so Tunde, guess what?
What's up?
You correct it and then you prostrate. Easy fix.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it's not going to be a smooth transition.
Tunde, people who are saying it's not going to be a smooth transition, they're not trying to transition smoothly. Again, you brought up the prostration example.
Right.
You prostrate. Hey, this is Gabi EC. This is an elder here in Yoruba land. You prostrate. And you prostrate.
Hey.
Done.
Hey,
problem solved.
Okay.
Can I ask one question?
Mac, you gotta let Tunde finish. Go ahead, Tunde.
Okay. No, let me hear what Mac got to say.
Go ahead, Mac.
Okay, so I just wanted to revisit and also mention that old boy that was talking all that flying shit about African Americans. The two places that he mentioned was in Europe. That's all.
Okay, go ahead, Tunde.
Okay. Also, I wanted to address Jago, right? I'm Nigerian American, so it's not like I'm not gonna be biased just because I'm Nigerian American and, you know, be on the side of Nigeria. Listen, Africans had a part in sending Black Americans to the New World. Let's be honest. We had a part. You mean to tell me that they had a part sending those people into the New World, and they built those nations, built America for free for 300 plus years, for free, for their descendants now to come back to Africa and build Nigeria? That doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't gel well with me. And I think it takes accountability away from us as a nation when we went back and try to make people come and invest and do things. And the least we could do is build our nation up for people to come in and acclimate themselves properly. That's my belief.
Bro, my brother Tunde, Shomomiwa, you see me, I'm a Yoruba man, like yourself. I've been here I'm showing you my face so you see who's talking to you. Yeah? I'm not a novice. I didn't come here yesterday. Anybody who has traveled from Africa and come to the West, Europe or America, over the last 10, 15 years, they don't know what the West is all about. They're just beginning to understand. My knowledge of history, where Black people are concerned globally, is impeccable. You can't play with me with history where Black people are concerned. What you know about America, I know 10 times more. You understand? If you listen to what I had to say, I said to you that over the last 40 years, the job that the African American has done in leading the Black world has been exemplary. Who can deny that? In that statement, there's a lot impacted for anybody who has any understanding of history. If you have any, I don't have to start listing all the woes that have happened to us. If you have now, you'll be able to hear what I've got to say. My complaint, my friend, is that right now we are at a most urgent time for the Black world, no matter where you are. It doesn't matter where you are as a Black person in this world today. If you are not waking up to the fact that Africa, in just its geography, has given up so much of itself to the whole world for the last 400 years, they've done this, not just by mineral wealth, not just by moving the land, but by its people intrinsically. So I put this to you for somebody who is suffering in America, lambasting yourself that we sold you slaves, history that you don't understand. I'll break down all that history to you, all of it. You understand? I'm saying to you, any
Are you
person.
denying that?
Why should I deny? Why? Another myopic question. I'm putting it in context for you that right now, given the history, we are at an urgent position. If we are not forging together, if we are not relating, if we are speaking rubbish into the atmosphere, then I'm afraid we are wasting precious time. Because you see, it's not just Europe who's after us now. It's the whole of the West, the whole of Asia, the whole of anywhere you can think of is inside that Africa who accept ourselves. So if
And
we
where
are
you at?
myopically complaining about our blackness, like we have any sense, like we have any choice, we have no choice but to come together and do the right thing. The more we continue bantering upon our pains, like our forebears didn't go through much more pain, if we understand history at all, before we stop that idiotic complaint about woe is me, it's only me, you're a freak if you're thinking in this way, and I've got no time for you. If you are
You
thinking like a
complaining right
man,
now, Britt.
if you are thinking like a man, and you are taking in our history and therefore our responsibility to ourselves and our future. If we're not thinking like that, then really F off is the sign I make to you. I thank you.
Hey, Britt. Hey, your all that little diatribe that you just spit was all cap for the very reason that you ain't even in Africa espousing that shit that you talking. Let's just keep it 100.
All right, let me pass it to Dennis. Dennis Cooper. Go ahead, Dennis. Jagoon, let me pass. I'm passing the mic, Jagoon. I'm passing the mic. Go ahead, Dennis. Unmute yourself, Dennis. Dennis, unmute yourself.
And you from there.
Dennis, go ahead.
Yeah,
Dennis.
yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I think a lot of you guys are out of touch with reality. Nigeria is really on the verge of collapse. According to OPEC, Nigeria has 67 years worth of oil production left, and not a single refinery to export the oil.
Whoa. So explain Dangote refinery.
Yeah, that's cap.
That's cap. Yeah, Dennis, that's cap. Dennis, get out of here. Dennis,
that's exclusively interior. That's exclusively interior Nigeria. It's not for export. That's a fact.
They're already exporting. In fact, they're building a pipeline to Morocco as we speak.
They are building, or they have built it.
They're building.
Okay, they haven't built it yet, and they're also dealing with terrorism, people destroying the pipelines.
No, but Dennis, we gotta focus on the whole your claim about the oil. You're on some other shit.
My point is, Nigeria has 67 years of oil production left.
That's just not true, Dennis.
It is true, and other than that, right? They have desertification in the north, deforestation in the south, which is destroying the agriculture sector in Nigeria. I mean, there's a slew of problems, right? The GDP just cut down to $1,000. Nigeria is on pace now to be overtaken by Somalia in GDP. Like it's insane right now.
That's just not true, Dennis. That's not true.
They currently have about $1,000 GDP per capita. What else am I gonna say? If you take a look at Ethiopia, right? Ethiopia already overtook Nigeria's GDP per capita, and they're about to overtake their entire economy in 2 years. This is a coffee growing.
That's not true, Dennis. As far as overtaking,
the numbers are here.
Dennis, I just put up Dennis. Let me put the numbers back up. Hold on one second. Let me put because I guess were you here at the beginning of the show?
I wasn't, but I'm looking at.
Okay. So let me put the numbers back up. Give me 1 second.
I'm looking at the updated numbers right now, or I'm sorry, I have looked at them in the past 20 minutes. Yes. Nigeria's GDP is around 1,000 when it used to be about over 2,000 actually last year. They're about to be overtaken by a coffee exporting country, right? How can you mismanage your funds to where you have billions of crude oil you're exporting, you're only getting about 15, maybe 20%, stake in your own oil, and you barely have any electricity. You don't have it. Your electrical sector is hurting. You only added about 700 megawatts in the last 11 years. Like,
hold on, let me
Nigeria
hold
is
on
a
1 second.
perfect example.
Hold on 1 second. Oladayo, are you there?
Hello.
Ola, unmute yourself.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I hear you now. Go ahead.
What's the question?
So the question is, so were you listening to Dennis?
Yes.
Well, what are your thoughts on what he's saying?
Yeah, some of his figures are right because recently Nigerian GDP has dropped. South Africa is leading. I think South Africa.
Well, he
Nigeria now is
mentioned Ethiopia.
Nigeria is number 4 now in Africa. We used to be number 1 before in terms of GDP growth, but I think South Africa is leading. Ghana is leading. Then one other country is leading. Then Nigeria.
No.
I think Egypt.
It's South Africa, Egypt, and I think
and Ghana.
It's definitely not Ghana. It's definitely not Ghana. In fact, I'll pull it up right now. It's definitely not Ghana.
Egypt.
It's Egypt.
I know South Africa, Egypt,
and
Nigeria is
South
number 4
Africa,
now.
Egypt. Yeah, South Africa, Egypt, and another country. But Algeria. Thank you, Algeria.
Looking at last year's
Algeria.
number.
So Nigeria is number 4 now. I know we should be number 1 before and the last 2, 3, but now it's kind of dropped. Yes, every country has their own challenges, and likewise Nigeria has its own. But in the midst of all the challenges, every country still have their opportunities and potentials. So we can't just focus on the challenges alone and not also look at the opportunities and the potentials that comes with it. It happened. America has its own challenges too, despite its opportunities and potentials. So it happens everywhere. I know our own might be kind of.
I want to make a contribution, please.
Myself too, actually.
Let him finish. I'll go ahead, Aladao.
Okay, so I know Nigerian situation might be kind of annoying in a sense or irritating in a sense, looking at the vast opportunities and looking at the challenges there that are actually man-made. They are not natural challenges. They are challenges we cause for ourselves. But at the same time, in the midst of all these challenges, there are opportunities, there are potentials. So it all depends on what you choose to focus on. And that's my take on that.
All right. Can I come in now?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Previously I heard you guys talking about Nigeria, and I saw the topic about Nigeria being the best fit for African Americans or Black Americans. But what I want to say is I suggest that Black Americans choose any sub-Saharan African, which is, like is dominated by Black African. Any sub-Saharan African country that they see opportunities in that they can like invest or live in, or they kind of like any sub-Saharan African country that they see opportunity or they like or they feel like living in. Because if you follow the history, some people like to say that a lot of Black Americans originated from Nigeria, but slavery in Africa is more complicated than you think, because there were a lot of slavery going on all around the coast of all along the coast of sub-Saharan Africa, from the likes of Mauritania, going as far as around, coming down the southern tip of Africa, going all the way up
Angola,
and going towards the Horn of Africa, all these places. So anywhere in sub-Saharan Africa, so I know, like, yeah, I like the fact that you guys are promoting Nigeria. I love Nigeria. Even though I'm not a Nigerian, I'm a Liberian. I love Nigeria and I respect Nigerians because those are hardworking people and smart people. And I like the fact that you are promoting my Nigerian brothers and sisters. But you should also look other places too. There are other African countries, like for example Liberia or Sierra Leone. that have a lot of opportunities that you could look to too as well. Yes. So Nigeria is a good fit for African Americans and also other sub-Saharan African countries as well that may be of their interest.
All right, cool. Go ahead, Shah. Let me just.
I wanted to quickly jump in if I could.
Let me pass it to Shah, then I'll pass it back to you because Shah's been waiting. Go ahead, Shah.
Okay, so I've been listening, and Dennis, I don't know where he's coming from with what he's saying about the oil, and you just got the world, one of the largest new refineries is online, right?
Yeah, go there, yeah.
Yeah, and also he's gonna be this next project. He's on to the next project. The next project is gonna produce a lot of jobs. He's gonna revive. I don't even know if revive is the word. Complete Ajaokuta steel. That's going to provide a lot of jobs. I don't know, probably around 200,000. At least that was, an estimate some years ago. It was more. It was like 400,000 when it was, back in the day. But anyway, that's going to be major. But I think that, and there's a lot of other things that are big things that Nigeria has potential. It's like it has all these big projects that are potential game changers, industrial, but at the same time, it's also limping on one leg and it's dealing with some major problems that I think it's at a crossroads. It's a transitional point, and I think that it's going to take another mindset, another group of Nigerians to take it to the next level, and the old crew has got to move to the side. They're got to be pushed out of the driver's seat. But the social stuff of Nigeria, this is the part where it could be an easier transition for African Americans living in Nigeria, because it's done a lot of the social socialization process has happened with Nigerians out of industry and out of having a lot of the same kinds of problems or developments out of being an industrialized cosmopolitan or metropolitan up and coming nation. So they've done a lot of those things are why Nigeria would be a fit. They've got nightclubs, they've got religion, they've got the dark side, right? All of these things, and I'm not saying that the dark side or the underside is, but all of those things are what makes a modern city. And I think that it would be an easier transition, plus the fact that it is really set up in an industrial way where if we could come in and help to transform, or take it to that next level, add to, it's set up for that. And it just needs that extra, push that Nigerians, expatriate Nigerians need to also come back. Jagun and all the doctors in Los Angeles and New York and Nigerian doctors, and we need to all participate in this because we are globally we're in a situation, and I'm telling that
why we all need to participate.
Right, and I'll end with this. I'm telling my brothers and sisters here in the United States that we need to consider an autonomous source, sort of autonomous source in terms of how we could come up, because they've pushed us out of a lot of things, and it's a deep layers of stuff that I don't want to go into because I don't want to hog up the time. Thank you.
Can I quickly come in now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank the last two contributors. I like what both of you have to say. Just in the sense of how does this transition happen? Now, I apart from Dennis, who is an obvious example, those people who I've just explained, my connection with Nigeria. I'm always there. I'm in Nigeria. I'm doing what I'm doing. No one needs to worry about me. Thank you very much. Having said that, what way inside to Nigeria? What is the way? What is the route? I listened to what Dennis is saying. And Dennis, I must let you know, whether you're here online or not, what you just said is what Nigerians have been complaining about for the last 40, 50 years. Nigeria knows exactly what the idiotic issues of that country is. We all know what Nigeria could have been given correct mentality leaders who are looking seriously to bring us into the future as we should have it. The fact of the matter is, it is clear that Nigeria is not working for all reasons that we can attain. The introduction of the diaspora, wherever they come from, and I would say importantly from the USA, this getting involved in African issues from the diaspora is of significant importance, and it should be happening now at a very high level. And I say this
Why is that?
because there is expertise in the diaspora that is not on the ground in Africa. The amount of capacity that we need to bring forth our dreams is deep. And this is why I say, unless you are really coming to assist, don't come. You can't come to Africa and waste your own time, let alone waste everybody else's. If Nigeria is a place that's been looked at for the West African region, let's say, then I would advise that African Americans don't go into Lagos, go into Abuja, go right into the center of things, understand the politics, understand the business opportunities from there, from the whole country, and you can go anywhere you want, east, west, north, south. You know, most people go to Lagos and, you know, it's a kind of holiday feeling for them, and there's a lot of things kicking off, but it's hard to see what's really going on when you go and visit a country like that. In Abuja, the air is a lot clearer. What people say is a lot clearer. What you can see around you would make possibly more sense to your eyes than with the vivid, ever-changing colors of Lagos. So I would say that would be a start for any African American looking at Nigeria particularly. If you're looking at Nigeria, go straight to Abuja. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
So if leadership is what needed, should we go in instead of leading? Should African Americans, if leadership is needed, should we go in with the mindset that we should be leading in Nigeria or wherever
you know, I won't take away your choice. Shah, my brother, I won't take away your choice from leaving, or as the last speaker said, go to another African country. But the thing is, we all know what Nigeria is. And if you know what Nigeria is, but you want to discover for yourself as an African American, then take a different route. And in that route, make sure you're coming with your own ammunition, which is to say, be armed with some level of sobriety, some level of common sense, some level of skill. Be armed. Because if you're not armed in Nigeria, it's not going to work for you.
Sir, may I ask a question?
Leaving. I said leading.
Ask a question. Yeah, he said leaving, not leaving. But may I ask a question? You have all of these stipulations and qualifications for an African American that has been 400 to 500 years removed from the entire continent. Now you have certain people like Dynast, who has taken it upon himself to find his Uhuru. You got people like O'Shea, you know what I'm saying? They are constantly doing their thing, trying to big up the continent and everything. And like you said before, hey, even if it's not Nigeria, go to a different African country on the continent, but you yourself didn't do that.
But
you're not in Ghana.
Wait,
you're
bro,
not in
please.
South Africa.
Can you allow me, brother?
You're not in Ethiopia.
You don't want to allow me. I don't know why you want to stick on this point that I'm in the UK.
Because it's hypocrisy, brother.
Wait, guys, calm down. The reason I'm here is beyond your knowledge or understanding. The fact that I go home every year, you don't seem to catch up with that. The fact that I've built homes, my own homes, I go in with my own key, my brother, to my yard when I go to night. I go with my own key. I don't go and stay with anybody. You understand? Okay. And I don't do that in one place. I do that in Lagos. I do that in Abuja. I do that in Ifon. Understand? I do that in my village. So you see, my connection to Nigeria, you've just spoken about your 500 years divorced. I'm 2 seconds away, bro. in comparison.
I know.
So please,
And
can you
that's my
please stop all
point.
this?
No. That's my point. And maybe to help you understand how it comes off, because earlier in this conversation, and I mean this with no venom at all, this is only logic that I'm speaking with. To us, and I'm pretty sure other listeners, whether they are ADOS, African Americans, or Jamaicans, or whoever, wherever they from, if they are part of the diaspora and they hearing you making all these little oh, if you gonna come here, you gotta be like this, and if you gonna be here, then you gotta be like this. You're saying, hold on, let me finish, sir.
No,
Let
no,
me
no. I
finish,
know
sir.
where you're going. I know where you're going, brother. I know where you're going.
But let
And
me go there. Let me go there, though.
Hey,
Can I go there?
you got to let him finish. Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
So when we hearing this, it's like, wait a minute. You are bigging up Nigeria. You are bigging up the continent, but you ain't there. And then even when you were just trying to stun on me earlier, the places that you mentioned wasn't even other African countries. They was in Europe. You talking about Spain. Spain is Europe. The UK. The UK is Europe. So
okay.
why would you
Ghana,
do
have you made your point? Let me just come back to you so I
cool.
correct. But let me wait.
Jagun, you got to let him finish. Like, you
Yeah,
got to let
make
him finish.
point so I can quickly come back.
Okay,
I know where he's going.
let him finish. Go ahead, Matt.
And that's essentially all I'm saying. I'm going to land now. That's
Well done.
essentially all I'm saying.
Very
Because
good.
I am not speaking just for myself. You got to remember, this is a global microphone, dog.
My
Yeah,
brother.
but Mac, it's
Let
really
me do it. Let me do it, Dennis. Dennis, let me do it, please.
Jagun, let me finish. Mac, but you have to understand those who like me back in my early days and traveling back to Africa back in 2011, 2012, like I didn't get offended by rhetoric that the rhetoric Jagun was saying because like I've already made my decision. So it's
Right.
like
But
those
that's
who receive
but that's you though, Dinus. I
those
was
who receive Mac, let me finish. Those who receive it. Those who are offended, then just don't go.
Absolutely.
of course. And on some real stuff, I was there on this channel messing with you then too.
Let me
You
see.
might have seen it as Todd Make,
What's this guy?
but I
Okay.
was messing with you too, even
Okay,
then.
Matt.
But my
Matt.
point is, he was
Matt, my brother.
hold on,
Jagun,
Amber,
let him finish.
hold on
Jagun, let
one
him
second.
Yeah, I
finish.
mean, let me come in. This is my
Jagun,
space,
let him
man.
finish, man.
Check it out, man. Like, yo, we get it. We understand. We was always taught Africa is the promised land, so and so and so and so, blah, 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 so and so. And then over time, when you start coming into knowledge and you start realizing and recognizing, like, hey, stuff might not be the promised land. You might want to go there with some resources. You might want to go there with a certain mentality. And that may actually be the point that he is making. You see what I'm saying? But the way you say this, it's like, no, I don't want nobody coming here unless they want to be African. Like,
Okay,
hold
well,
on, dog. You in the UK, so was you going to the UK wanting to be a UK citizen? Because that's the same thing.
I'm like, if you
Oh, so
if
yeah,
you just but
I want to come in
I'll call my
shortly.
name
Please.
direct.
I want to come in shortly.
all right, Jagun, go ahead and I'll pass
Yeah.
it to Hammer. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Jagun.
can I come in? Okay.
Okay, well, go ahead, Hammer, because Jagun is I don't know. Oh,
Yeah,
you know I got
I
to
want
be.
to
Hold
come
on, let
from.
me.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Hammer. Go ahead, Hammer. Then I'll move Jagun. Go ahead, Hammer.
yeah.
Yeah, because it seems like he's like addressing me on the side. Look, let me just say directly, okay? Because he brought up this point. My point stays and has not changed. Let's be honest here. Africa is less developed than the West, which means that going from Africa to the West is not the same level of challenges as going from the West was Africa. Let's be honest about that. Which means that if you are a Black American, or just I guess anyone else from Black American,
Hey,
and you're trying to go to Africa,
Hammer. Are you on Hammer? Are you on speakerphone? Because your mic is just real loud and it's distorted. Like I don't, I'm trying to hear you, but it's your mic. Like you're screaming. Like I don't know what's going on.
okay, you know what? Okay, let me just speak a little much more lower because I have a natural loud voice, so people
No,
don't
that's
get.
not that,
I'll speak quiet.
Hammer.
Okay.
It's just like your mic is just loud and disordered. Like I
Okay.
don't.
Let me.
Yeah, I
It's
don't know what
very
that.
roomy.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yeah, go ahead. We'll work with that. Go ahead.
Okay. So let me continue. All right, like I was saying before, look, let's just be honest here. Africa, and I said this when Cameroon, right? Africa is a less developed continent. Yes, it'll get better, but as of now, that's not the case. So, African immigrants coming from Nigeria to the U.S. or the U.K., yes, you'll face some, but it's not going to be the same as you going back, as someone who's never been to the continent going there for the first time. Africa is hard for even the folks who are there. So what that essentially means is that if Africa is hard for the Africans who are there, imagine how hard it's going to be for somebody who is coming from a first world developed country to a place like Cameroon or Ghana where it's still very developed.
But that's what makes
My
Nigeria a better fit for us, because it's places like Lekki and all of these places that are more modern and has a lot of the infrastructure. This is what makes Nigeria a good fit for African Americans.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Even on the continent, the only place that is even close enough to the development we see in the West and South Africa. Let's be honest about that. And that's with all the problems going on. It's still the most industrialized country. What I'm saying here is this. The reason why I said that, look, for you to be someone coming from the West and go to a place like Africa, you will only succeed if you have the mental fortitude to do so. And typically, the mental fortitude means you need to want to be African. If you're not coming with that mentality, you will fail. You will
Hammer. Can you call it on a different? Can you call it on a different device, like a different phone, or yeah.
All right, I want to come in shortly. Hello.
Yeah.
Can I come in shortly?
Go ahead, Colonial.
All right, so
Hammer, that didn't make sense.
Let me come in something. Yeah. Oh, what I want to say to this is, I've just heard you guys talking about coming to Nigeria and other set conditions to us coming, like put in place for coming to Nigeria. What I want about my message to African Americans and Jamaicans and others in the diaspora, when it coming to a country like Nigeria or any African country for that matter, or I'll just be specific on Nigeria because that's what we're talking about. It should be like person who are away from home for a long time and they're coming back home, and they are not there is not force for them to do something in their home. If they decide to live like that and let others do the work, no problem. Let others do the work, but those who do the work will get the credit. But those who want to come to Nigeria and lay back and be foreigners, they will be treated as foreigners. But those who want to come in Nigeria and live as a Nigerian, then they will be treated as a Nigerian. So I don't see it as a problem for someone to get angry and say, "Oh, no." For me, personally, I wouldn't get angry with any black person anywhere around the world who want to go to live in Nigeria and say they want to live in Nigeria as a foreigner. No problem, go and live in Nigeria as a foreigner. But when you get treated as a foreigner, don't complain, because based on how you did yourself is how people treat you. But like people like the likes of Dennis Amir, he's living in Nigeria and he's moved into having really good relationship with the people. So I can guess that the Nigerians are treating him like one of their own, like their brothers. In fact, I won't even say like, as their, because he did his DNA. I've been watching some of his videos. So if a black person from America want to go and live in Nigeria as a foreigner, go and live there. But when you get treated as a foreigner, do not complain.
That's
Danny, can I quickly come in to answer Matt?
Go ahead, Jago.
Thank you. Now, Matt, I'm afraid you're not listening very well, which is why things aren't working out correctly for you mentally. And what I mean by that is not an insult. You keep thinking that I'm speaking insultively. You see, I'm speaking practically. You see, when you land on the African plains, the woe is me that you have in America, you're going to see woe is me right in front of you. And it's more urgent than 500 years ago, woe is me. The woe is me that is still happening now on the African continent is not for the faint-hearted. You might think it's going to be a skip in the park, but it ain't. There are those in the comment section speaking rubbish, more rubbish about jealous of this or that. Jealous of what? You don't seem to understand the kind of individual I am. I'm an African from the core, wherever I am on the planet, and I'm well traveled in this planet. But I always go home. I always go back home. And I always go back home because that's actually where I want to be on a permanent basis. But I travel between 3 countries at the moment, including Nigeria. And in what I do, I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm trying to say that we are in an urgent crisis. We need all hands on deck. Those who do not want to put their hands on the deck, please don't come and put your hand on the deck, for real. Don't come, because you're only going to be a hindrance to the development that we need. So the offense taking, but really and truly, I haven't got really much time for it, because I don't know why you're taking offense. I'm speaking about somewhere I love. I'm speaking about somewhere that is alive, and I'm speaking about somewhere that the world is balancing itself upon. And we, as African people globally, are taking the least from it. So that's the framework that I'm working with. Anything else, it's just your own. It's just your own narrative. It doesn't matter to me. If you want to hang yourself in America, and I would see it on the news, I would say, "Oh, that's a sad story," and then I would move on. You understand? So, woe is me is not a part of my rhetoric. If it's a part of your rhetoric, keep it to yourself. I'm not interested.
Okay, so you shouldn't take it personal, Jagun. You shouldn't take it personal. I think what he's saying, you touched on it, all hands on deck. We don't know what kind of work you're doing and why it takes you out of Nigeria.
It's not. However, I'm not taking it personally. I'm not taking it personally. I'm just answering to make sure people know where I'm coming from.
I'm saying till I finish, right? So what I'm saying is that a lot of Africans are living outside of the continent of Africa. They've gone to education, got education, and got practical skills in whatever fields that they're in. And all hands on deck means they need to start arranging their lives so that they can bring that expertise back home and help to build the continent. And that's what Matt is saying, right?
That's what I said. Matt was reiterating what I said.
I understand that, but specifically to you, that whatever you're doing, I hope that it takes you to be able to apply that to building Nigeria. And I'm not saying that you're not, because you have a business in Nigeria and you got 3 homes in Nigeria. We heard that. But a lot of times, and Matt is saying, and I've been hearing, a lot of Bloods be living in US and UK, making criticism and about the continent and all the other things.
I hear you, my brother Shah.
That's the point. But let's move forward. Can we move forward, please? Can we move forward?
No, Brother Shah, let me say this to you, please. And please understand me very well. I understand your point of view. You understand? But I must say to you, my brother, I'm not in America. And when I listen to America through the television, it lets me know, this is how I started, that there's a lot of complex confusion there about what it is to be a human being, let alone what it is to be black. The level of confusion that comes out of America would be a poison, a complete poison in the African context. Where I'm speaking from is not a diatribe of saying that you have to be like this, you have to be like that. No, I'm just saying that if you're understanding the depths of failure that Africa has been through over the last 400, 500 years, because that's what it is.
I understand that.
Then the urgency, my brother.
I get that too.
Please, please. Let me land. The urgency, my friend, cannot include all of every individual person's drama.
But here's the reality of that, though.
Wait, I've got to land for you.
Right.
The whole idea of being a man, MAN, don't attach black to it if you don't want. Don't attach African to it. Just being a man within the African context, which is to say what it is that we have to do.
Right.
Then we must take off all the clothes of this, that, and all these all these adages that we give ourselves that will complicate matters further. We have to be men, MEN. All the rest is mucking about. Everything else is mucking
So
about.
let us be clear though, that and I'm speaking, my opinion is this, is basically I have a right to all of Africa because my people were taken from there and never gave up their sovereignty, never gave up their land. So I have a right to land there. In my confusion of identity and all the
And
other,
you are welcome.
hold on.
And I have to hold on. You are welcome.
Wait a minute. I come with all the baggage that I have, but if I come with the right intent and a good heart, like the right intent and a good heart, with all my baggage of having lived in the U.S. with the stuff that we've gone through, that's how I'm coming. But here's the thing that I'm saying. It's one thing for Diana Samir to be the one person. What's going to happen when there's 10 million African Americans, or let's even just say 1 million African Americans that are living in Nigeria? What's going to happen?
Can I just put this? Yeah,
and then,
okay.
And then,
let
and
me,
finally,
bros,
and let me wait a minute. Finally,
brother Shah.
Let me end here. Finally, I said to you, you thought I said leave. I said lead, LEAD. Should we come and lead? Because if leadership is an issue, and leadership is what's holding us back and keeping us back, there are many of us that are leaders and have experience with leading whatever industries and different things. We don't own them, but we do certainly.
Let me just come in.
Let me pass the mic, Juggle. Let me pass the mic. Go ahead, Kofi. Go ahead,
you should let me just land on this one.
But Juggle, you've been landing.
All right, I'm out of here. I'm out.
Go, Kofi. Go ahead, Kofi.
Yeah. So what I think Jargon is saying is that that we're gonna come to Nigeria, and we're gonna come with all this symbolic rights of abode, and then we're gonna quickly find out that no one gives a fuck. Sorry, excuse my language. That no one really cares, and then we're gonna go in and we're gonna try to hold hands and say, let's do this together. And then you find out that this is an individual thing. And then you're gonna think that, okay, I have to try to mold myself and go backwards. I have to start from the chiefs, the chiefdoms. I have to start from, the spiritual customs. And then you're gonna realize that, they're not really doing that. Africa is more individual than you think, and Africa is more. If we're the West, if we're the Westerners, Africa is even more Western than you think.
What?
It's very ruthless. It's very ruthless, and you have to go in there just like the European did, and you have to take what's yours, because until you do that, you will not get any respect, and no one will follow you, and you will not lead a goddamn thing. And that's how it is. You have to be better than Don Gotti. You have to be bigger than Otedala. You have to be bigger than Matayiwa. You have to be bigger than these people. We have the expertise, and we could do it. We could come in there and we could be the top 10 richest Africans, and that's what it's gonna take. It's not kumbaya. There's modern slaves as we speak. There's modern slavery going on as we speak. It's not a kumbaya thing. You have to come in, and you have to be the most innovative person. And you have to drive that shit, and then you have to come out on top on wealth. And until you do that, no one will give a fuck about you. And that's I'm gonna land my plane with that, and that's all I have to say.
All right, go ahead, Peter. Let me pass it to Peter. Go ahead, Peter. Let me pass it to Peter. Go ahead, Peter. Unmute yourself, Peter. Peter, unmute yourself. All right, Peter. Go ahead, Peter.
I'm here. Yeah. Hey, Jack, I agree with you. I think your reasoning is
Hey, Peter, we can't hear you. You're real low. You got to talk to the phone.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I wanted to say was, Jack, and I think your reasoning and your insight to what's happening here in America according to the attitude, by the attitudes that are coming out of America, are dividing us even more. It's correct. I can't see how anybody want to run with a crowd of people who do not identify a tether with their own blood and their own kind. Being defiant against their people, being jealous for a country that has never pledged allegiance to us is absolutely crazy to me.
We're not all like that.
I do not understand that. I do not get it. I still see the strange fruit swinging trees down, stomping around America. I still hear all of the civil rights and everything else is being rolled back that we fought for. And not only that, I know we're always in trouble because they gave us our freedom. We did not take it. So we are free on their terms. That's why they can take things back. And that's why they continue with the abuse against us as they have. Our only chance is to be unified. And if you look at what has happened in recent history, since Wakanda came out, where we were all together, when George Floyd died, worldwide, we were together. Then you see these groups coming out like ADOS and FBA, which I think basically are tied to LGBTQ and hate Africa because Africa will not accept their lifestyle. And they don't identify online who they are. And I think we're missing that. It's been a unified front against us and unification of Africans around the world by a silent majority, a very loud and silent majority. That's all that's.
Thank you for that, my brother.
Yeah.
Can I please say something to that?
Well, we're not all FBAs and ADOS, and somebody said something about ADOS being different than African Americans. African Americans are ADOS and FBA, and they're a very small group in the 50 million of us that are here in the United States. So don't try to overdo that.
ADOS does not like Africans or African American type. They do not accept that.
How many ADOS are there?
From us,
how many ADOS are there?
Actively trying to destroy
how many ADOS are there?
With
it
us.
Is it means American descendants of slaves, right?
You are complicit if you say
so how many ADOS are there? How many ADOS are there?
It doesn't matter.
It does matter because if there's only 5,000,
are you saying they're right with the attitudes and the stances that they take?
If there's only 5,000 ADOS, that means there's African Americans that have never even heard of ADOS or FBA.
Are you right, brother? Are you telling me that they are right taking a stance that they take? Are you defending them?
I'm not defending them. I'm saying they're a very small group and they don't represent us.
Brother, you need to make a choice.
They don't represent 50 million people.
You have to make a choice.
You're in social media, brother. You are in social media and you're confusing that with reality.
Are you LGBTQ?
Are you?
Because it sounds like this is what you're supporting.
Are you?
And we need to start calling this stuff out.
Well, I don't think FBA and ADOS have anything to do with LGBTQ.
And acting as though you're representing African Americans, and you're not.
I don't know where you get off with ADOS and FBA.
Because I'm listening to you.
Has to do with LGBTQ. That's ridiculous.
ADOS is headed by a lesbian organization. Even Black Lives Matter was headed by lesbians and homosexuals and gave more money, if you look at it, to lesbian organizations.
And how did that work? How did Black Lives Matter work in terms of what it brought to the world? How did that work?
It's worked against us now, period.
Now?
Vision that is on, and the people that are hidden behind it, that are actively online, fighting Africans, telling African Americans that you're not African.
Online is the operative word. In Twitter and where else? Brother. In Clubhouse, Twitter, and where else? Facebook.
Not to your America. Not to your America.
Again, that's a marginalized group. It's a small group of people that are doing that. Not saying that it's not important to recognize.
Brother, do you favor America over your people and your blood? Do you favor the soil of America over your people and its blood?
Do I
Because I
feel like
know.
America
the
is
soil of
good.
America? No, I'm
Yeah,
not a
yeah,
traitor
yeah, yeah.
to
Do you?
America. America
Because
has
that's
done
what
my
you're
people
defending.
wrong.
You are
No, America
defending.
has done
You're
my people
defending
wrong.
Africa. You're
I'm not a
fighting me.
patriot
You're
of
fighting
America.
Dragon. You're fighting
But I'm
Dice.
clear about
You're fighting
these
us.
people, these groups that you're talking about that I'm dealing with. In fact, I saw it springing up as it it escalated the conversation in the groups of people. I started asking people outside in the outside, have they ever heard of FBA? And they were like, no. But what I'm beginning to see on the outside is that some of the talking points that have been happening in the social media is starting to reach outside into the other people. It means they're starting to have these conversations about I'm Native American, or I'm all of these talking points. So it is affecting some of the population. I'm beginning to see that conversation is
It's
moving.
bad.
Right.
Let me just say this real quick. But if you look at the timeline and the recent history to when this attack came against Africans in Africa, it came at the time when we were basically unified, right at that time. And then you have Kamala Harris going over to Africa, trying to convert people basically into the doctrine that America has over here. And what that is doing over here is destroying us. Every time you look at Al Sharpton, he's up in the pulpit somewhere talking about the black African American and the LGBT community. The only thing that has happened out of that move is that they had tethered themselves to our movement, diluted the power and the effectiveness of our movement, and now leveraging it to fight against Africans as if we are the people against Africans. That's a damn lie.
But that is, and that's not the. I'm not getting that vibe from talking to young people, right? Because it's the young people that are on social media. They're not against Africa. They, in fact, they've been pushing back, but they are aware of these conversations that we've been having in these social media spots. But overall, you're diverging from the point.
Let me
You're
ask you this.
diverging from the point of
Let me
of
ask
this.
you this. Let me ask you this. Have you began to ask them to identify themselves as to who they are? Because a lot of times they come in, they're so vehement, they're so
They come in
unreasonable.
where?
Well, let me finish.
They come in where? Where? Into social media.
Dennis, will you tell them, man, let me finish at least? Look, they come in so unreasonable. I mean, you cannot even reason with them. What is behind that? What's behind it? You can only begin to deduce whether it's a strong, and what you need to do is start asking people to identify who they are.
So can you bring it back home?
So we can make a proper representation as to who we
how
really
does this
are
relate to us
as
going to
African
Africa?
Americans, separate from this LGBTQ, because LGBTQ has taken a position to work as a wedge against Africans and African Americans being together as we rightly should.
That's your opinion, and I don't see that. But how does that relate to the subject matter?
Doing that?
How does that relate? See, you're talking over me, and you say that I talk over you. We're kind of flowing back and forth.
Hey, Peter, let him finish. Peter, go ahead, Shaw.
So my thing is, how does this relate to the topic of what we're talking about and going, Nigeria being a good place for us to go?
Because
we've moved away from it.
Because it's so important that because it was brought up about how African Americans have put themselves in a position to where now the world is seeing them as something anti-African, it's almost anti-black to me now, because it's like American exceptionalism on steroids in a black man, which is crazy to me. So the overarching point that I'm making here is that we have not identified who is truly behind the lie.
All right, let me pass it to Jagoon. Go ahead, Jagoon.
Well, thank you very much. Trying to follow on from the conversation, it's just very interesting what we complain about and what we find difficult to listen to. My initial burst was through a conversation that two people were having where I agreed with one and I disagreed with the other. So it may have come out a bit obtuse or strong. I must say that's my personality anyway. So in one way or the other, I'm going to make the same sense. Making things softer or harder, I think it just depends on the audience. But the fact of the matter is, it's not my personality that is to be counted here. What's to be counted is what I say or what anybody says, and try to grapple with what people say. If we're not listening to what people say, and immediately we're stifled by the impression that we have of their personality, then it's very wrong. It's a wrong thing that we do. Black people were too
That's
soft. If I could
that's
just
what
say,
you did to me.
no, just let me finish, my friend, because I'm saying mine. You can say yours. You know what I mean?
My bad.
The way I'm looking at the way conversations are going and how we're picking on strange things and how we can't align ourselves with any truth because we have to object out of our disappointment, our feeling, our notion in what the other person is saying. It's childish, one, and it is not the level of communication that we need. We need heightened communication. We need thinkers. We need people who are practical. And definitely we need people who can say truth. Because we understand, being in the West, we are in the position to understand an awful lot about how the West plays the game. And we know the West plays its game through rhetoric, through bringing people on their side, even through lies. They play the game based on, oh, my emotional feeling, you're hurting me. They play the game based on all these things that have nothing to do with facts. And for what I think Peter was saying, he was trying to just put to us that even in America, what I'm saying is not divorce, because I'm not in America. In America, there is an issue with Black people where they are breaking themselves further and further down. And where I look at it, I'm seeing as, boy, my brothers in the States, man, they're in trouble with themselves, man. How comes they're changing their cloak? Because in the 70s, in the 80s, they weren't like this. All of a sudden, 90s, 2000s, and all these squibbly joints, they're coming out with all this. I'm in pain. Somebody needs to help me. And then I'm also the biggest person, the biggest personality in the world. Me. You see, me, I can't really accept all that rhetoric as reality. I have to
That's
show
that.
show the face of what that looks like. It doesn't look like the people that can put together whole nations. Let me just give you this understanding. Lord Lugard, when he first came to Nigeria, and there were those British people who came to govern Nigeria, to colonize Nigeria at the time, they were 19, 20, and 21 years old. That's how they bred those people back then. That these kinds of people can run a whole nation. We're here squabbling. It's laughable. I don't really know when it is we're going to actually grow up and stop our pernickety nonsense like anybody gives a damn. No one gives a damn. Haven't you learned this through your school years? Nobody gives a damn about you. When I was at school and I was explaining things to other pupils, the teacher marveled like I wasn't supposed to speak in that way ever. I noticed that. In noticing it, I know that these people don't mean no good for me. If I don't do what I'm supposed to do in terms of my learning, I will fail in this world.
Where
So
you
I
landing?
understand you people and how you qualify yourselves. I leave it there. Thank you.
Well, it's a nuanced
Yeah.
conversation. If nobody's going to speak, I'll say it's a nuanced conversation in terms of where we are today. I'm speaking about African Americans. It's a combination for me of ops and propaganda and miseducation, as well as the damage that we underwent through the whole experience of slavery, and then the coming to grips with our own people and their involvement in that. So a lot of people are going through that. I went through that when I was young with that, and it didn't hit me as hard when I understood that, because it wasn't as pronounced in terms of the information of our complicity and being culpable in the slave trade, right? But it has even that conversation has to be said correctly, and the full picture needs to be told. And here you have a lot of African Americans who they're hurt by that. They have to go through that. And then we're dealing with those other things. We're dealing with white people knowing these things and exacerbating these things to keep us divided. And we're dealing with just miseducation and perpetuating some negative thing because of not coming to grips with this colorism. And I remember when we were first calling ourselves Black, we were Negro, and then it was Black. I'm saying loud, I'm Black and I'm proud. It was a lot of people that kind of pushed back. But then in the 80s, right, when I'm coming up in the 80s, and we said that we were African American, there's a lot of my peoples that were like, I don't identify with that. I'm Black American. I'm Black. And then some of us were, well, African American is a better name for us for X, Y, and Z reasons, because it deals with a place and it's not a color. And so as time went on, those people who were not identifying with that later start identifying with that. But the people who did not identify with it, those people had kids, and some of those kids are the ones who were at the forefront of this FBA and this all of these other things where they don't want to identify with Africa. It was the African Americans that did not want to closer identify to the African origin. And then they don't have any, a lot of these people are not living in California or New York or DC, where there's these diverse populations of different peoples and a lot of continental Africans and Caribbeans that are coming into these areas. They're living in places where there were less. Now, you're getting more immigrants in many of the other parts of the United States. And so they're coming into this whole, all of these people are here, whereas in New York it became beginning to see like there's less African Americans in New York now than when you put all of the Caribbeans and Africans together. There may be less African Americans, or an equal split of 3. So those are some of the nuanced conversations about I think some of the problems, why it is, and the solution for me to that is that we have to control our education. We've got to deal with the education. We cannot allow people to educate us.
Can I ask a question, please?
Go ahead.
I would just like to know from your point of view and from what you said, how then, what is the actual problem? What is the nuanced problem for Caribbean people, African people, and so-called African American people being in the same place in America doing it? What's the difficulty?
We all have had a colonial education. That's the problem. Africans taught in Africa have had a colonial education. In the Caribbean, the same. In the United States, the same. The more African-centered your education is, the fewer problems we will have as a people coming together, dealing with building. Africans have a certain agency that other people, and Caribbeans too, that other Black folks that are not in this situation, that Africans and Caribbeans are. They're sovereign countries. Can
I quickly put this to you, my brother Mac? Let me put this to you. I grew up in the UK, and I've always been, my ears and eyes have always been on the States. So I've seen the similarities that we have. In growing up in the UK, the Black people here are majority made up of Caribbean people, mostly Jamaican, African people, mostly Nigerian. And when I grew up in the 60s and 70s in the UK, we had enough problems between ourselves. Jamaican and Nigerian were fighting, physical fight, to claim who they are. Okay. Jamaicans saw us as African Ubu, and we saw them as cane cutters. And it was all obtuse, and a lot of it came from our parenting. However, within a generation, we quickly grew up through the Rastafarian understanding that said we are all African. And within one generation, not 10, not 5, not complaining all day long, we grew into one, knowing who we are as Africans or Caribbeans, but we are one. Why can that not happen in America? Why are Black Americans so not in tune with their African brothers and sisters and their Caribbean brothers and sisters.
Jagu, let me, Jagu, I had this conversation with somebody before. It's the type of slavery that we went through in America. That's why.
Can
you explain this?
I just think the slavery. So I actually, the same question you're asking, I asked my Nigerian friend. And so he said the further, so if you look at a map, right? And guys, don't give me the whole technical, wind and all that other stuff. It's a direct line from the Bight of Benin to Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying pretty much the further north you go, the more disconnected. So that's why when you look at the Caribbean, when you look at Bahia, when you go to certain places like in Central and South America, the Black people there are more in tune and more Africanized. But when you go to America, we're the most disconnected for some reason. I just think.
Can I quickly? Sorry, guys. I think this is a very important thing. Can I quickly say this to you, Daniel? Whilst I kind of see some logic in what you're saying, not necessarily in geography, but more in terms of your proximity in America to the white man.
That too.
What I see is that there's been a craving for the Black people in Americas to be like the white person.
And Jagu, let me interject. You're right, because if you look at it, no other people on this side of the Atlantic Ocean had a civil rights movement like us here in Black America.
Absolutely. Now, this is why we need to doff our cap, firstly, to the American and what they withstood. But in the same respect, the Americans, the Black Americans, need to doff their cap to those who stayed more African. And why I see that, you see in the Caribbean, they stayed more African, not because there weren't challenges there, not because they didn't go through the same slavery that they went through in North America. No, it's because they were left to their own devices when independence came, and they came into themselves during that period. You understand? Where the South Americans have been even more complex is that their slavery assimilated them somewhat based on complexion. You understand? What I'm talking about the heart of the matter. And because the African American have actually been through the most, this is why the most intelligence has come out from African Americans. Why now spoiling? Because it's spoiling. The way I look at it from over here, it looks spoiled. And I don't know why you can't take that on board and fix it real quick.
But that's the attack. That's the war that we're under. You talk about the situation that we're in, and the war. That's the manifestation of the war, is to keep us divided, to miseducate us. This is why we we created a Black Studies academia.
In fact, that's what it is, Jagoon. It's the civil rights movement gave us access to whiteness more than any other group. The Black Americans have the most access to whiteness than any other group, any other non-white group on the planet.
Absolutely.
So that's there you go.
Well, I mean, in that I do understand it, and I say if we know this,
South African,
excuse me, my guys, if we know this, and we have an inkling, and we have an education since the 60s at least, this is what is 60s. That's what almost 70 years we're talking about. You know, that is older than Nigeria as a country. You understand? So when is it that you people are going to wake up over there and stop complaining? Because you see,
but
we
in
all have
many
something
ways we have.
Wait, let me just say this: we all have something to complain about. Where
It's
this
dichotomy.
homogeny of Eurocentrism is concerned, all of us can see it through different perspectives. One is not necessarily worse than the other. What it is if we know this, we need to wake up to the situation and operate on the level of intellect that we are using in discourse.
But that's
because
disingenuous.
complaint ain't getting us nowhere.
The question itself is disingenuous. It's the premise is wrong.
Oh,
when
you
are
don't
we
understand.
wake up?
You're not understanding me at all. See you later.
We've been awake. You know, we've had the Pan-Africanism, right, coming out of the Caribbean and the United States back in the 20s and and 30s and 40s with CLR James and people like who else? So many people. Oh, Martin Delaney. So we've had these early Pan-Africanists that's come out of the Caribbean and United States, and
Yeah,
then
but Sean, that's before the civil rights movement.
right. So I'm saying that we have been awake at times. We've been awake. It's a dichotomy, and so the fight that we've been fighting is to stay awake, is to continue to keep these Black Studies programs going in the public schools, and all of the stuff that we were doing in the 80s, and we were trying to institute this education that would correct some of these problems. They were undoing them, undoing all of these things that we were doing with education. I'm a big education person. So that's the fight that we're fighting over here. That is the war and attack against us. This thing that the Governor DeSantis is doing in Florida is another attack on our culture and our academia, to take all of that information, to lie about history and revise history. That's the attack that we are suffering, and we have to keep a front going. We have to keep fighting in that way. So it's disingenuous to say that when are we going to wake up? That's not
All
even.
right. All right.
I would say
Can I
that.
comment shortly?
Yeah,
Can
yeah,
I
yeah,
comment
yeah,
shortly?
yeah. Let
Stop
me.
disingenuous, so my brother.
All
You're
right.
too
All right.
suffering.
So what I want to say to this is, Brother Dennis Amir just talked about the type of slavery that Black Americans went through, for which they never got connected that well to Africa. But I want to just, I don't know. It looks somehow mysterious to me, because if you look at Black American culture, almost everything about Black American culture is African, but they are just using European things to express it. You go to their food, you go to their music. In fact, the foundation of Black American music is from right here, West Africa. The blues, the so-called stuff they call the blues. It came from West Africa, from the kora, from the kora musical instruments and other string instruments in West Africa. There were a lot of things. So I don't really understand how they really got disconnected from Africa as he's saying it. Because almost everything about Black American culture is African. I don't know what it is.
We know
I don't know
that.
what it is. I don't know what it is.
That's what
Ignorance
Black
of.
Studies teaches us. It teaches us. Now what's happening now? I'm beginning to hear the people, blues ain't from Africa. Blues ain't got nothing to do with Africa, which means that those people that are saying that, they're either they're in denial, or they just don't know. They didn't get that information.
Probably.
We know that we had hoodoo, which is an
Oh, they're
African
sick.
American form of spirituality, and voodoo as well. New Orleans and other places, other African retentions of from the Congo and other places. The Gullah
Even your
Geechee in
food.
South Carolina, we're not that removed, right? You guys are
Even
saying
your
it, but
food or
there
soul
are
food.
retentions of African culture in African and even in our churches. That's what
Now, can I say
when we
something?
study ourselves, we know these things. If we don't study ourselves, we're not going to know these things, and that's what
Dude, we've
needs to
been
happen in
connected to
Africa as well.
Africa
Let me say
since
something. Let me say something.
1847. We've been connected to Africa for 200 years, up into 1980s in Liberia. We've been connected. We've been traveling back and forth to Africa for the past 200 years. What happened is the collapse of Liberia, and what happened is the crack coming into our neighborhoods, just like crack went into South Africa, and how you have South Africans turning against other African immigrants coming in there. Now, this is a reflection. This is a reflection of what happened in the 1980s. And I would say that since my name is Kofi, I'm one of those children that's been Africanized in the Americas. That's why we're called. That's why we have the name African American. We have always been African. I just don't get this rhetoric.
Right.
I feel like it was the other way around. Caribbeans and Africans have became more westernized, and they wanted to assimilate into whiteness, and then looking down on what happened to Black Americans.
It's a colonial mentality.
I would say it's the other way around.
Yeah, we've been, in fact, some of the people from Ghana and that were our teachers in
I'm
the
in
Bay
Ghana
Area,
right now.
San Francisco Bay Area, said that African Americans are going to have to. Now, he wasn't totally serious, but he said African Americans are going to have to be the ones to come to Africa and teach some of the things that he's teaching us, these traditions through the arts, through the dance and the music. We're going to have to go to Africa and teach African people in this was Ewe dance from Ghana. This is one of the teachers. We had Congo, we had Ewe, we had Guinea, Mali, Senegal, we had Haitian, we had Brazilian, we had American, you know, jazz, dance, and music all in one place in the Bay Area. And that's not even talking about, you know, the Trinidad people with the steel pan and the Haitian. So all of these cultures, we were doing these things since the 70s. We've been doing these things, and even before then, you had Catherine Dunham that had gone to Haiti and brought and created a whole dance company back in the 30s, and some of her students like Eartha Kitt and some other, you know, people who are well known, older people in their 70s now that studied with Catherine Dunham and started teaching. So we've been involved in the arts and the music and the culture of Africa, but you guys don't know that. When
No, cool. My
Festac
brother,
happened, you know what happened? When Festac happened in the 70s, it took a congressional delegation, act of Congress for a delegation of African Americans in the 70s to go to Festac. And one of my friends went to Festac, and we participated in the World Festival of the Arts of African People. We need to do that again. So we've been involved.
My brother, I thank you for that submission, because as you were speaking, I remember everything what you were talking about, based on my history knowledge, based on my own experience as well. In the UK here, we've always had the carnival. The carnival is come from a Trinidad thing. The whole of the Caribbean is involved. The whole of Black England is involved. All the music genres you spoke about, they flow through the UK like nothing. From the samba, salsa of the Caribbean and South America to the calypso, reggae music, ska, all of it flows. From the soul music, the jazz, everything flows through London. Every Ras Clark thing. You understand? So when you speak like that, it conjures beauty, a beautiful picture. Festac, my mother was part of the controlling panel for Festac. I was there live. There. I've been in Fella's Shrine since I was 9 years old. You understand? When it comes to music and what we express musically as a global Black family, it's complete beauty that we offer the world. I'm asking us, why don't we recognize that we are this African people that bring out such genius? Why don't we quickly get over ourselves and stop the constant complaining? Because it sounds like that to the rest of us. It may not sound like that you guys in the States, but outside of the States, when we listen, wait, please understand me. I'm appealing to you in that when we listen to you guys from over here, you sound confused, complex, and almost ready to give up the Africanness. That's what it sounds like. So I'm asking you the pertinent question. I'm asking you all the pertinent question as to, rhetorically, as to when you come across an African in the States, when you come across a South American in the States, when you come across a Caribbean person in the States who is Black, the first thing is that this is my brother. That's the very first thing. Please, because everything else is only going to turn into a pile of shit. Believe me. Please. That's my appeal.
But the young people are saying the people coming from the continent and the Caribbean are coming with a different mentality of sort of not fellowship.
Hey, let me pass the mic to Mac. Something's wrong with your mic, Mac. I'll pass it to you, then I'll pass it to Master, then we'll close out. Go ahead, Mac.
My bad, Red. Hold on.
Yeah, Mac, you're something's wrong with your mic.
Okay, let me do this then. Okay. Is this better?
It's a little bit. Go ahead. We'll work with it.
Hey man, listen, y'all been skating with a whole bunch of little like creating little narratives and everything. Ultimately, what it is, I feel like things boil down to like jealousy. You see what I'm saying? Because you put all these intentions and these hanging ups on African Americans, but you don't do that shit to Afro Belizeans. You don't do it to Afro Mexicans. You don't do it to Afro Peruvians. But it's only African Americans that y'all focus your thing on, and that is a problem.
Yeah, because Mac, we have the largest platform and we're the loudest. That's why.
Let's be honest.
And that's fine. and that's fine, right? So even then, we are not the largest majority, though, especially if you coming from Nigeria talking the stuff that you talking. Like, wait a minute, dog. We are the minority where we from, and we got the largest, whatever you just said. But y'all are the majority and don't even have it. Why is that?
That is
the greater question.
Bad politics, man.
Don't even have
Bad
what,
politics.
a large platform.
Because the slaves build.
If you sit here on this channel and we all can agree, hey, you gonna get a whole bunch of bad politics takes on Black Americans. So that don't excuse nothing. Once again, y'all are the majority there, and still got bad politics. Still, like, it's 200 million of y'all. It's only 43 million of us, including ADOS and the diaspora. It's only 43 million of this. It's 200 million of y'all.
I think you're just here to complain about how about the negative of others. You're not here to share ideas about how they can get better.
Hey, let me pass it to Master. Let me pass it to Master so we can close out. Go ahead, Master.
Pass it on, man.
Hey,
Go ahead, Master.
Peter, let me go.
hey, Dennis.
30 seconds.
There's some
No.
simplistic
Let me
thinking.
pass it to Master because I got to close out. Go ahead, Master.
Okay.
Dennis, can you hear me?
Is this Master talking?
Yes, Dennis.
Go ahead.
Yes, Dennis. Thanks for having me, Dennis. I've been listening to the conversation and it's interesting, but you know, when you talk about man, you must talk about man and his environment. And there's a reason why I always emphasize on the concept of man and his environment. Now, when Shah was saying about education is part of the issue why we don't get along sometimes and stuff like that. Dennis, since I've been in this country, that is so true. What Shah is saying, what Jagun is saying is correct too. But they both have points. They have good points that they're making. But the educational system, Dennis, since I've
In
been in
which
this
country?
country, like in America, right? I interact with African Americans a lot. I work with them a lot. But sometimes when we have privileged conversations, Diners, you can tell just the questions they ask alone. They ask me alone because I love when they ask me questions, though. I love that, and I don't get offended. But based on the questions they ask alone, Diners, I'll be like, "What is that? Why are you saying that?" And then you man, you tell me the right thing. You tell me. I say, okay, but let me explain. I don't know everything, but let me explain. When I explain, the mindset change. But Diners, you can tell we deal with each other. I said it before last week on the show. We deal with one another out of abysmal and sometimes willful ignorance. Sometimes some of us want to learn from each other. Sometimes we don't want to learn from each other. And that's a problem. But Shah is right, Diners. Our educational system is not just in America, in Africa too. It needs to change because that is part of the thing that will make us go forward, like Jagun is emphasizing, for us to go forward as a team. Our educational system has to be uprooted and turned over. Okay, if that's not part, if we ignore that part of everything, then we're gonna still be in a mess. That has to change, and I agree with Cher. That's what I'm gonna say.
Okay. So is there any Nigerians here that's in Nigeria and
He
not
just he just logged off. Oladale. He just logged off.
We need a borderless Africa. We need to release Nigerians out on the entire Africa. That's it. I'm out.
Okay, all right, we're going to close out. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family, Dynasty Mirror, search for Huru. Peace.
Thank you, man.